Okay, so today we are going to make a chicken pot pie. It's some of the girls' favorites and really easy. Don't have to make pie crust. You don't have to buy pie crust. It takes one sheet of puff pastry, which makes everything yummy. Super simple. I think you'll make it on repeat. So I'm going to go through the ingredients real quick first. I have 2 stalks of celery chopped, 3 large carrots or 2 large carrots or 3 medium carrots chopped, and 1 shallot finely chopped. Then I've got 3/4 a cup of frozen corn, 3/4 a cup frozen peas, 2 cups of chicken broth, 1/4 a cup of heavy cream, 2 cups of shredded chicken, or do what I do and buy a rotisserie chicken, really quick and easy, 3 tablespoons of butter, 3 tablespoons of flour, and then your puff pastry, which we'll get back to that. So I am going to go ahead and you can do this in a cast iron skillet, one skillet, one and done, do everything in it, bake it. I'm gonna do it in a separate skillet so I can throw it in a disposable pie pan. But I'm gonna go ahead and saute the carrot and shallot and celery, get that soft, and then I'm gonna throw in the frozen peas and carrots, and I will meet you back after that, and we'll go over the flour mixture, the gravy mixture. Okay, so we've sauteed our veggies, and I threw the corn and the peas in there at the end just for a minute or two. They don't have to be cooked totally through because they're gonna cook in the oven. By the way, preheat your oven to 375. I've kind of got you zoomed in on this pan because this is important for the next step. And I salt and peppered that a little bit. So I've got my 3 tablespoons of butter and a little bit of oil in the skillet. And we're gonna melt that over kind of medium heat and let it get melted and foamy. And then we are going to add in our 3 tablespoons of flour because this is gonna make a roux. What that does is it thickens our chicken broth. So we're making our gravy. So I'm gonna kind of let this go. It may take a little bit, but I want you to see the consistency and kind of how long you have to simmer in between. So when this gets all kind of melted and frothy, you're gonna throw in your flour, and it's gonna look like a paste, and you're gonna be like, what is that? But it has to do that in order for you to thicken the broth. So I'm just kind of whisking my butter. Let that go for a minute or two. Like I said, I'm just gonna go ahead. I'm not gonna cut away. I'm gonna let you see how I do this in case there's any question. So get that kind of heated. And I probably had a little bit more oil than I should have in the pan, just left from sauteing the vegetables, but that's fine. All right, so if the butter is melted, you're gonna throw in the 3 tablespoons of flour. And you want to incorporate that. You're gonna be like, well, there's too much flour. No, it will incorporate, and just, you wanna let that cook a minute and get it really smooth. And it may be more like a paste. Mine's kind of dissolving a little bit better because I had a little bit of oil in the pan, but that's fine. It's still gonna thicken it. Just get it good and incorporated, all the flour and the butter. If it's not, that's fine. If you've got more like a clumpy paste, that's fine. So what you're gonna do from here, and you want it on medium heat now, is take a 1/2 cup of chicken broth, about a 1/2 cup, and then you wanna whisk that in. And let that go, let it come to a boil, and you want it to kind of thicken up a little bit before you start adding the rest of your chicken broth. And then we're gonna slowly add that chicken broth until it's all incorporated, and then you're gonna add the 1/4 cup of heavy cream, and you're gonna simmer it for a good 10 minutes. You want it to get a little bit thickened up. So then you can add in the chicken and the veggies back. So let's just let that sit on medium heat, let it kind of start to come to a boil and thicken up. Once I get the gravy in there, I'm gonna salt, pepper, and add a little parsley to it. see it kind of thickening on the bottom of the pan there. Hopefully you can kind of see it where it's not completely liquid. You can see it's getting a little thick. Alright, then we're gonna add a little bit more chicken broth. Not a science, just add about a half a cup at a time. Incorporate it really good and let it start getting thick. So we're gonna do that same thing. Haven't been on here in forever. Been very busy with the kiddos and work. Baby girl finally got to come home, which was great. Let that come kind of to a boil and thicken up. And then the final thing we'll be showing you what we do with the puff pastry. Puff pastry I think is so tasty. I will eat anything wrapped in puff pastry. But it's a good alternative to having to make pie crust or even buy pie crust. And this is going to be a crustless one, so it's just going to be on the top, which I think is a perfect ratio. So you can see that starting to thicken up again. Let that go just a little bit longer. Keep whisking the whole time so it stays nice and smooth. All right, we're gonna add the rest of this chicken broth. Let that go. And you can prep your veggies the night before so you have that ready to go. Super easy. Have them all cut up, and this really doesn't take that long. This is the longest step. And it's gonna bake about 35 minutes on 375. Great recipe to take to other people too. And how we cut the puff pastry is going to make it look like you spent a lot of time, but you didn't. So I'm going to get this up. I want this time to kind of start almost boiling, so it's not too far from being there. I didn't want to cut away because some people have never worked with what's called a roux. It's just a thickener. You don't want runny pot pie or runny gravy. And the rotisserie chicken is definitely the way to go. You can even buy it the day ahead and shred it up and have it in the refrigerator ready to go. Make your life easy. It's starting to get thicker. It's doing good. And smooth, so. Starting to bubble here, so we're getting there. I want this to thicken up just a little bit more before I add the heavy cream. And then once I add the heavy cream, we're gonna simmer and let it slightly boil and stir it the whole time for about 10 minutes. And I will cut away then, and then I'll come back and show you the thickness of it after 10 minutes, what you kind of want it to look at. Oh, I'm starting to boil there. Sorry it's taking longer, but I did not want to cut away because people are going to have questions about what it looks like. Starting to thicken up. It's not chicken broth consistency anymore. It's a little thicker. It's what we want. Starting to come to a boil here. Until you can kind of look at the time, how long it took, and kind of judge from there. That's why I didn't want to cut away, because I don't time anything. I just know how it's supposed to look. So at this point, I am going to add just a little bit of salt and pepper. You can see it start to boil there. Just what we want. And even a little parsley. If you have fresh parsley, that's even better. See it coming to a boil now. Starting to really thicken up. Perfect. We're going to add this cream, just 1/4 of a cup. All right, and from here, we're going to turn it down to more of a low to simmer when it's coming to that boil, and then we are going to simmer this for 10 minutes, and I will be back to show you what that looks like. Okay, so this has probably been about 8 minutes. And I want you to see the thickness there, not runny like chicken broth, but just slightly thickened up. So what we're going to do from here is add our veggies. And start with about 2 cups of the shredded chicken. I may just add it all if there's room. Add a little bit more of the chicken. And then here you can salt, pepper, parsley a little bit more if you want. So really good consistency there, you can see. So we're gonna pour this into pie plate, or if you did it in the cast iron, you can just stick it from there in the oven, which is nice. 1 pan and done, clean up. All right, looks really good. All right, so I'm going to get ready to show you how we're gonna finish this. Okay, so we have 1 sheet of puff pastry that I thawed overnight in the refrigerator. Just take that out, kind of lay it on a board. You can give it just a quick roll if you want. You don't have to. And I have a pastry cutter. Now you can cut this into anything, but I'm just gonna kind of make strips, all different sizes. And we're gonna lay this and kind of cover the entire top. Doesn't have to be any certain pattern. Just kind of make a bunch of strips. And I want you to cover the entire top of the pot pie. I kind of start and go around the edge first. And then I also have 1 egg beaten with just a little bit of water. We're gonna brush the top of that so this browns up really nice. But like I said, it doesn't have to be. And if you don't have a pastry cutter, just use a knife. Like I said, it doesn't have to be perfect, but it does kind of give it some pretty edges. Makes it look a little bit more finished or fancy. And like I said, I'm gonna kind of just put this all over the top. And we are going to brush it with the egg. I'm going to use it all. I like the puff pastry. Just kind of cover all the open areas. egg with just a little bit of water and just my pastry brush. And we're just gonna go all along the top like this and cover the pastry. And then that's gonna go into the oven, 375 for 35 minutes. Okay, finished product. Yum. It refrigerates well. I actually would probably bake it and let it sit maybe 30 minutes. That way it will cut better. But just try it out. Enjoy.